Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day today. So, today I want to talk about something here with you. As the title says, I thought working hard would eventually set me free. And I'm pretty sure that most Gen Xers and people my age are thinking the same thing. We are getting to that age where retirement is coming quickly. I honestly believe that if I kept working hard, eventually life would get easier. That's how we were raised. That's what we were taught, right? I thought that long hours, missed weekends, and stress were temporary, right? Because that's what how we were raised. We were raised you know, to be loyal, to put our heads down, to work hard, to follow the rules, right? I believe the freedom was waiting for me somewhere down the road, right? Because that's what I saw. I saw my grandparents do it. I saw my parents do that. And it just made sense, right? But the harder I worked, the more my life seemed to belong to my job. Now, I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but one of the things I've noticed is that no matter how hard I worked, I seemed to be at my job more than I was at home. And that really got to me. The promise many of us believed was, you work hard, you show up early, you stay late, be dependable, because that's important. Keep your head down, do what you're told, and eventually you'll be rewarded, right? That was the deal many of us grew up believing, right? We were told, you do all this and you're going to be able to retire at 60 or 65 and go do all the things you want to do and life will be grand. Well, that didn't quite happen. What actually happened is the workload increased. The cost of living kept rising. I mean, look at it now, right? The commute between between work and home seemed to get longer, right? Weekends turned into recovery time. I don't know about you, but I can remember many a times going, "Oh, thank God it's the weekend. I can relax a little bit," right? Saturday was like, "Oh, okay, I am just need some time to relax and get my thoughts back." Then Sunday, you're out doing a family thing, and by dinner time, you're like, "Oh crap, got to go back to work," right? So family time had to fit it around my work schedule. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. Even when the paycheck improved, my time still wasn't mine, right? I'm pretty sure you've had that feeling too. You're told, oh, here's a raise, and you think, oh, that's great, I'm going to get ahead. But somehow it just never seems to happen. I remember the moment I started to question it. Right? I remember sitting in traffic and wondering, is this really what my life is going to look like? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've been there a few times, right? I was doing what I was supposed to do. I was working hard, you know, I was being responsible, but I did not feel free. I don't know if you've ever had that feeling, guys. I felt tired, rushed, and constantly behind. Look, the real problem was that I was working hard was never the problem, right? Working hard, I love to work hard, right? I was working hard inside a system where my income depended on my time, you know. And when I stopped working, the income stopped, right? You realize that you're like, if I'm not working, I'm not making money. There had to be something different. The only way to earn more was usually to give up more of my hours, right? If I wanted to make more, I had to give up time with my family. And I was already giving up a lot of that. Now, that wasn't freedom, that was a trade, you know. So people say, what does freedom mean to you? Well, for me, freedom does not mean doing nothing. Okay. It means having more control over my day. It means being able to work without giving away, every hour. It means creating income that is not completely tied to a schedule. Okay. It means being present for the people and moments that matter the most. It means having options, right? And a lot of people just don't have those options. So, what I started doing differently, let's talk about that. I stopped believing that working more hours was the only answer. I knew there had to be more because I'd seen more successful people who were not working as many hours as I was. I started learning how online businesses worked. Okay, that was the moment where it's like, okay, I need to start figuring this out. I learned how automation could handle parts of my business for me. And that was a big thing. When I saw automation, I learned that automation could absolutely change the way I build a business, the way I work from home, the way I could get more freedom, it blew my mind. I focused on building something that I owned. I didn't want another job. I didn't want somebody to tell me when I could sleep, when I could, take vacation, if I could take time off. I began using a simple plan that could work around my life. And that was the big thing, guys. You want to find something that works around your busy schedule because let's face it, you're busy. You've got family, you've got work, you've got responsibilities, you've got kids, grandkids, maybe aging parents. You've got a lot on your plate. I stopped chasing perfection and started following a proven blueprint. Now, here's the lessons, guys. Hard work still matters. Okay. Don't think that you're going to give up the hard work because it still matters. But the hard work needs direction. I'm like Doug the dog, from Up. If I don't have direction, I'm all over the place. Now, you can work incredibly hard climbing a ladder only to realize it is leaning against the wrong wall. You know, have you ever seen construction workers, guys? They climb a wall, they climb the ladder, and oh, crow, I have to be over there, right? So the goal here is not to avoid work. All right. The goal is to build something that eventually gives you your time back. That's the important thing here. Now imagine waking up and knowing your entire day does not belong to someone else. Think of the freedom that feels like to know that your day doesn't belong to your boss, it belongs to you. Imagine having time for family without feeling guilty. Imagine building additional income before you desperately need it. That's always the problem. People wait till like that moment, like, oh crow, I need this. I got to do something right now. Guys, don't wait. Now is the time. Build it before you need it. Imagine having choices instead of feeling trapped by one paycheck. Okay. One paycheck, that's insanity nowadays, guys. I thought working hard would eventually set me free. It didn't. It just kept me right where I was, stuck and even further behind. What I learned is that hard work alone does not create freedom. You need to use hard work to build something that belongs to you. All right. So I'm sharing what I'm learning because I know I'm not the only one who felt this. All right. If this hits you, do me a favor, click the link in my profile, put your email in, check out what I'm building right now. All right. I will send you other blueprint that I've been talking about. It's a 10K and 30-day blueprint, absolutely free. You can watch the videos, get to see everyday people building their automated online business, and you can get started right away, guys. If you have more questions, feel free to message me. I'm always available, and I'm here to help. Guys, I hope you're having an awesome day. And remember, if you're tired of always being on, it's time to build something that works when you don't. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.